Welcome back, everybody. Angel Arts here, and welcome to another episode of Gay Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition. We are planning on moving to the next part of the main story, but before that, I just wanted to take a chance to look at some of our codexes and get that out of the way. So if you just want to jump over to whatever happens next, feel free to skip over to the next video. Let's take a look at creatures. August Ram. The August Ram. Surely whoever named it Ram had never seen its more common cousin. The slender legs and sleek hide give the animal the grace of a hart or hala. Its curved horns spiral back over delicate ears, twitching at the slightest rustle of grass. When startled, speed is the August Ram's only defense against the hunter. It is difficult to sneak up on these shy and wary creatures, but I have been here so long and shown such mild behavior that I have gained their trust. The rams graze peacefully a stone's throw from my sketching easel as I write this, thinking no more of me than a rock in the field or a flower in the grass. I just wish the rotten things would stop trying to eat my canvases whenever I leave camp. From the diary of Tillendal Lemalin, noted painter of wildlife and portraits to the Orlesian court. Bronto. There are only two things a noble will step aside for: paragons and angry Brontos. Dwarven saying. The Dwarven Shaperate originally bred this hulking beast as a beast of burden and food source, the rough equivalent of surface oxens and cows. Some versions of the Bronto have been developed as a Dwarven mounts, valued more for sure-footedness and stamina than speed. While present in Orzammar in large numbers, some Brontos still exist in packs in the deep roads, having returned to a wild state after the fall of the Dwarven kingdoms. They require remarkably little sustenance, absorbing nutrients from water, fungus, and even rocks. Hence, the rock liquor appellation many dwarves use to describe Brontos, and exist primarily in a dormant state until provoked. An angry, charging Bronto is considered a rather dangerous opponent. From Tales from Beneath the Earth by Brother Genitivi. Fear. Imagine, if you will, the most basic impulses possessed by mankind: rage, hunger. Perhaps the most primal is fear. Even the youngest of us understands this concept, and the raw power of it drives almost all else. A demon that preys upon fear is not the most sophisticated sort of creature. They mimic forms they see in the nightmares of mortals, hoping to elicit the response they crave. Some of these demons, however, stumble upon terrors that are much more deeply rooted. Fears of the future, of chaos and disorder, of failure. This sort of demon develops a far more refined palate, attacking the psyche of their target rather than seeking a simple scare. Beware the fear demon that gorges upon the terror of not only a single nightmare but of a nation, for it will grow to such a size that it dominates the Fade. Great Bear. Oh, these things are huge, massive. The Orlesian Great Bear is so named because it is very large. Very large, indeed. Other names for it include the colorful Old Man of the Forest, and the less charming, but more clearly descriptive Woodsman's Death. I am told that they are only found in remote parts of the Dales, and that not even the nobility is willing to hunt for them, which makes them unique among the rare, giant, deadly exotic fauna of Thedas, the only thing the Orlesians are truly afraid of. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genitivi. I think there's one more. Oh, there's a whole bunch more. Terror. We heard their screams from miles away. Oh, I already read this one. Because this is just saying that we got damage against demons increased. Yeah. Crafting materials. Arbor Blessing. Blessed by the vine in spring, I shall not fear the winter's sting. Arbor Blessing is a useful vine that is notoriously difficult to cultivate, as if it had a mind of its own. The wind often carries its minuscule seeds for great distances from the parent plant. It is hard to say what causes the seeds to sprout once they land. However, it has long been believed that comfort and abundance follow where Arbor Blessing goes. Perhaps the vine only chooses conditions that promote rich harvests from domesticated flora. Therefore, see Arbor Blessings in spring, and you shall not grow hungry in winter. An excerpt from Botanical Compendium by Inez Arsenia, botanist. Prophet's Laurel. According to Orlesian folklore, Andraste's followers and sympathizers tossed sprigs of the laurel in her path as she was led to her pyre. After she burned, her ashes blew across the leaves on the ground, bestowing upon them their famed purifying qualities. It is just a tale, of course. The laurel was recognized as a healing herb long before Andraste's time. Ancient Tevinter scrolls describe the use of the laurel in poultices, tinctures, and even incense. Though the legend might be pure fabrication, the laurel will always be symbolic of Andraste's sacrifice. Its glossy dark leaves represent the sword of mercy, the red berries the drops of her blood upon it. An excerpt from the Botanical Compendium by Inez Arthenia, botanist. The Dalish Elves. I took the road north from Valroyo towards Navarra with a merchant caravan. A scant 2 days past the Orlesian border, we were beset by bandits. They struck without warning from the cover of the trees, hammering our wagons with arrows, killing most of the caravan guards instantly. The few who survived the arrow storm drew their blades and charged into the trees after our attackers. We heard screams muffled by the forest, and then nothing more of those men. After a long silence, the bandits appeared. Elves covered in tattoos and dressed in hides. They looted all the supplies and valuables they could carry from the merchants and disappeared back into the trees. These, I was informed later, were the Dalish, the wild elves who lurk in the wilderness on the fringes of settled lands, preying upon travelers and isolated farmers. These wild elves have reverted to the worship of their false gods and are rumored to practice their own form of magic, rejecting all human society. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Chenetivi. Quinari Dreadnoughts. They pulled alongside their great ship twice the length of ours, and we drew steel, ready for them to board. Instead, a great series of blasts rocked the waves, spewing smoke everywhere. Iron balls the size of a man's head flew as though fired from a bow. They ripped through hull, mast, and sailor alike. Our ship came apart like a child's toy. I'd have died in the water had a trading ship not come by to investigate the wreckage. That was the day I learned that although the Imperium might win the war against the Quinarian land, it will never defeat them at sea. It was also the day I decided to try life as a merchant's guard. An excerpt from Exiles from Empire by Gregorius Pepigit. History. Here lies the abyss. Here lies the abyss, the well of all souls. From these emerald waters doth life begin anew. Come to me, my child, and I shall embrace you. In thy arms lies eternity. Canticle of Andraste, 1411. I love how the titles of the main story quests, like Here Lies the Abyss, are actually quotes from the Canticle, or are quotes from the Chantry literature. Chantry sisters have long debated this section of the Chant of Light. It is tempting to assume that the Well of All Souls is a literal well, but such imagery appears nowhere in Andraste's other works. An examination of Threnodine's 1:4 yields clues. From the waters of the Fade you made the world. As the Fade had been fluid, so was the world fixed. It is possible, even likely, that the emerald waters Andraste refers to are the substance of the Fade, which began as an ocean of dreams, Threnodine's 1:1, and was reduced to a well, bottomless but limited in scope, by the Maker's creation of our world. Is Andraste urging the listener to come to the Fade? Should we take from these emerald waters doth life begin anew, as literal evidence of reincarnation, or even of life after death, as the cult of spirits suggests, or as a figurative benediction indicating that the Maker is the source of all life, and in finding his embrace for eternity, we will only be returning our souls from whence they came? An excerpt from the Reflections of Divinity by revered Mother Juliet. It's hard to find the glowing star things. The Dales, a promise lost. Oh, here we go. There, see the winter palace at Halamashiral? Gaze upon its white walls and golden spires, built on the broken dreams of a people, our people. The human prophet Andraste was a slave in the Tevinter Imperium, as our ancestors were. When she rose up against them, we rose up with her. Together we fought for freedom, in gratitude and kinship. Andraste promised the elves a new land, the Dales, and although she died, her sons kept her promise. Our people came from farthest Tevinter to claim this new land. Here our journey ended. This was our Halamashiral. As we laid first stone for the city, our people vowed that no human ever set foot in our lands. The greatest of our warriors swore to uphold this vow. One by one they came, invoking the names of Elgarnan and Mithal, Andruil and Gelanain. Before all our gods, they dedicated themselves to Halam Shiral, becoming our protectors, our Emerald Knights. They would ensure that the Dales are made free. It was free for over 3 centuries, but the humans and their new Andrastian chantry would not let us be. They pushed against our borders. They sent missionaries to spread the word of their prophet. They sought ways to subjugate the people once more. When we refused, we angered them. They destroyed us. Even the Emerald Knights could not stand against the might of their army, armored in faith. In the name of their Andraste, they burned Halamashiral, scattering us to the winds. They forgot that once, long ago, Andraste's followers and the elves marched together. They forgot that Andraste called Shartan brother. That's horrible. A promise lost is told by Keeper Gisharal to the young hunters of the Ralfarian clan on the outskirts of the Halam Shiral. Adamant Fortress. Of all the decisions we Grey Wardens were forced to make over the lean years, withdrawing from the Fortress of Adamant was perhaps the most difficult. It had been built as a bastion against darkspawn spilling out from the abyssal rift, a symbol of how we had done the impossible, pushing those creatures back into the shadows where they belonged. We kept the land safe from further encroachment, but as each new age dawned, memories of our sacrifice became fainter. The entire western approach had become a wasteland, and thus the expense of maintaining the fortress became increasingly difficult to justify. There were no griffins to fill its wires, too few wardens to man its battlements, too many good men and women killed by demons creeping through the thinning veil. Each visit of the warden commander made it more apparent that Adamant had become a symbol of our decline. Even if darkspawn still emerged from the chasm, who would they threaten other than the wardens themselves? So in the dawn of the Blessed Age, we sealed the fortress's mighty gates. We left the great griffin statues to tarnish in the blowing sand, retreating to Mont Samard with a sense of loss and shame. I returned recently with a small expedition to retrieve supplies, surprised to see it still standing. The dwarves did well by us. I suspect Adamant will remain for ages to come. But should the order ever return, they will find it difficult to resurrect. Only spirits roams its halls now, alongside the memories of those who gave their lives to protect us all from darkness. From the Journal of Veldin, Grey Warden of Orlais, 858 Blessed. Caer Oswin. I worry about Loran daily. Ever since the death of his wife and son in Highever at the onset of the Blight, he retreats further and further into reclusion. Almost no one is permitted to come to Caer Oswin. The last time I managed to see him, it was only because I bullied my way into the castle and insisted his strange new guards take me to him. And I say strange new guards for a reason. Almost all the Oswin retainers have been sent away. These men didn't wear Ben Loren's colors, and they struck me more as prison wardens than as protectors. Loren himself was pale and almost delirious. I begged him to see a psychic, and he promised he would, but I doubt he ever did. The guards ushered me out in a hurry, and the last time I returned, I was not even allowed to pass the gate. I wasn't even allowed past the gate. It's been months since anyone saw Loren at all. I fear the worst has happened, yet I can prove nothing. All I can do is pray the rest of the Benorn take notice and act before a good man is lost. From a letter by Ban Alfstana Erimon, Dragon 940. Crestwood. I was dining alone at the local inn, which is quality perched on top of a dam, when I overheard the barman mention tunnels beneath the village. I was surprised to learn that a vast cave system riddles the land surrounding Crestwood. The locals told me tales of strange noises and eerie lights of entire expeditions swallowed by underground fissures, of screams in the dark that come from nowhere and return just as swiftly to nothing. I scoffed and went for a stroll around the area. The night was clear, and I was wending down a pleasant glade in the hills when I heard a rasping hiss. Dropping my walking staff, I spied an overgrown opening to a small cavern. Were those footsteps padding away into the dark I heard then, or a startled animal? That night I let the candle in my room burn longer than usual. From the diary of a traveler from Bel Shaven, dated 3 months before the start of the 5th Blight. Three Trout Pond hides a sinkhole hundreds of yards deep. Darkspawn emerged from this and other caves to attack Crestwood during the Blight. The flood that destroyed Old Crestwood drowned the blighted ones, and the excess water created the pond we see today. Had the dam not been damaged, we would never have survived the Darkspawn. Was the Maker's hand in this? Oh, we know the truth. I cannot believe he would be so purposely cruel to his children, flawed though we are. From the memoirs of Sister Vaughn of Crestwood. Resources found here: elf fruits, middleweed, blood lotus, deep mushroom, embryum, iron, obsidian, everite. On Skyhold. Experiments, a page from an enchantress journal. Scorched near illegibility. The style is an old Ferelden dialect, circa mid to late Divine Age. Experiments and ambient lingerings for staging. The question isn't, is it special? The question is, how special? We found relics, but there are always relics. Elves ranged far before their empire was crushed, but rarely did they return where they did not build. This place they visited again and again. I see it in the fragments, clays from different nations, not just craftsmen, styles from different centuries, not just clans, and yet no record of a ruin. I've already read this. Yeah, I've already read this. Unless there's more stuff in here. Yeah, I think I've read all of this. If not, I apologize, guys. The Emerald Graves. Okay, I think we got it. Our people called this place the Emerald Graves, long ago before the fall of the Dales. A tree was planted for every warrior who pledged themselves to the guardianship of the Dales. Together, these warriors were the Emerald Knights of Halam Shiral, and the forest of their trees was named the Emerald March. Makes sense. When the humans began encroaching once again on our borders, the Emerald Knights banded together to protect us from the incursion. But the humans were many, and their chantry powerful, and they eventually conquered the Dales. The Knights fought in defense of our land, and almost all perished. The trees that once represented a mighty army were now living symbols of sacrifice, the Emerald Graves. I hear that most humans in Orlais do not call this place by its true name. They find it an auspicious one, and refer to the forest only as the Great Wood. They refuse to see anything but wood and moss and leaves, and hope to remain ignorant of the blood that was spilled. But we of the people remember. We feel the weight of what was lost, and we see not trees, but lives given for freedom. As told by Keeper Gisharal of the Ralifarian clan. Resources found here: elf fruit, spindleweed, blood lotus, royal elf fruit, blood lotus, deep mushroom, rashvine, embryon, prophet's laurel, rashvine nettle, arbor blessing, iron, bloodstone, pyrophyte, obsidian, everite, stormheart, and dawnstone. Of course, it's a forest, so of course it would be lush with all of these things. The Exalted Plains. It is appropriate that we pick the Exalted Plains as our field of battle. It was here, centuries ago, that the Dalish kingdom met its bitter end. The holdouts of the Elven army making their last stand, refusing to surrender against the champions of Andraste, the Templar, the Sister, and the nobleman patron. The champions' cause was just, and their faith led them to victory. The plans were henceforth called Exalted. Someone once said that these fields are characterized by equal measures of beauty and strife. This description will hold true for the foreseeable future. The strife we bring to the Dales will be quickly forgotten. However, if we fight hard and fight well and earn a definitive victory, let the knowledge that you strike in the name of the true Emperor encourage and guide you. Truth and righteousness prevailed in the plains long ago. Maker willing, it will again. A message from Marshal Bastian Prolix to his soldiers before battle was joined. Resources found here: elf fruit, spindleweed, blood lotus, royal elf fruit, black lotus, deep mushroom, rashvine, embryon, rashvine nettle, iron, serpentstone, bloodstone, viridium, and obsidian. Tales. O Grey Warden, O Grey Warden, what have you done? The oath you have taken is all but broken. All is undone, demons have come to destroy this place we have had for so long. Ally or foe? Maker only knows. Ally or foe? The Maker only knows. The stronghold lives on, and the armies reborn. Compelled to forge on, what will we become? Can you be forgiven when the cold grave has come? Or will you have won, or will battle rage on? O Grey Warden, what have you done? The oath you have taken is all but broken. All is undone, ash in the sun, cast in the darkness, the light we had won, as performed by Bard Meriden Hallowell. Is that it? Okay. That's it, guys. Short and sweet. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Gay Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition. We'll be continue on in the next episode. Till then, everybody, love yourselves and love each other.